Hello, class. Today we're going to talk about interviewing, which is the key to a successful news story. There's no way you can write a good story without going through an interview. You interview your sources for details to go into your story. You also interview them for information to use as quotations. There are three stages in the interviewing process. The first is the research. Let's say you're going to interview the Dean of Social Sciences. The first thing you need to do is to find out who is this woman. Her name is Peg Miracle. Who is she? Where did she go to school? How long has she been at Fresno City College? What jobs did she hold before then? Most of this research you have to do before you even contact her to schedule an interview, which is the second step in the process. You set up an interview, find a time that is mutually convenient, prepare your questions then, and include all types of questions, including the open-ended and the closed-ended questions. Go to the interview looking nicely dressed. Take your recording device and you're ready. Make sure that it's agreed beforehand how much time you're going to get for the interview so that you do not overstay your welcome. There are three types of interviews. Face-to-face is always the preferred, the telephone, and the email. The face-to-face interview is the best option because you're able to read the person's body language as well as see facial expression, which you're not able to see in a phone interview or an email interview. Phone interview is for a quick sound bite or when you're in a hurry and you're not able to make a formal meeting with the person. If that's the best you can do, yes, it's okay. An email interview, again, isn't the best, but sometimes it really works when a person is out of town, for instance, and there's no ability to meet the person face to face. Likewise, if you're really looking to quote the person, I think that an email interview is a great idea. There are two types of interview. A funnel interview where you immediately start with general, easy to answer background questions such as where were you born, how did you climb to the top, questions that are not threatening, that are generally open-ended, and which allow your interviewee to relax and open up to you. And then there's the inverted funnel interview, which is the direct opposite of the other one. You use it with people who are experienced in fielding closed-ended or adversarial questions. You use it also in breaking news stories. If you're interviewing the chief of police of Fresno, for instance, to find out about some crime that's been recently trending, you don't have time to chit-chat and ask where he was born or how he became the chief of police. You want to get to the bottom of the issue that brought you there, which is to find out all that is available regarding the crime. Then also there's the open-ended and closed-ended questions. Closed-ended questions are those questions that require yes or no answers, how or precise answers. How long have you known the defendant? How many times has the defendant been in jail? Or you ask a person, how long have you worked for Fresno City College? It's yes or no, or 5 years or 4 years. The answer is precise. And it may seem as if it's easy, but it really isn't, because you use closed-ended questions to pin people down when they're trying to be evasive. And then the open-ended questions are the ones that you use to allow your source to develop an answer, and it's often less intimidating. You allow them to frame the narrative in their own words. It's important to establish rapport with a source. You don't want them to feel relaxed, you want them to be open. And so you start with easy questions, non-threatening questions, questions about the weather, about things that are trending in entertainment, etc. So they get to relax with you. Sometimes you may have to ask personal questions. You have to be really questioned to make sure that the person you're asking those questions is willing to answer them, because you don't want them to shut down the interview and leave. Follow-up questions are very important. If you find that the person you're interviewing is kind of avoiding or evading answering the questions, you need to make sure you ask the question in different ways to get the answer that you want. Okay? Sometimes you need to persuade people to go on the record and not become hostile, and don't act like the prosecuting attorney. Be sympathetic and understanding. Make them think that you're on their side. And that's how to get them to open up and comment about things that they would not narrowly talk about. Let the interviewee tell you their own stories, give personal anecdotes. Those are things that will be useful when you write the story. And here are other things that you may forget. Always use a tape recorder. These days, your cell phone could function as that. Always ask ahead of time whether you could record, because California is one of the states where you may not record a person without their consent. Do your homework ahead of time. If you can, find a quiet place for the interview so that there are not much noises affecting the quality of your tape. Save the tough questions for the later part of the interview. Try not to ask a yes or no question. Do not be nervous. Okay, you are really the one in charge. The interviewee can't hurt you, but you can hurt him or her. So don't be nervous. It's really your interview. If you're not sure of how to proceed or you're not understanding the subject matter, ask them to clarify. Don't be shy to ask for help. Don't ask loaded questions. Don't ask close-ended yes or no questions unless you need to. Don't ask leading questions. Listen. Let the other person talk. The best skill you need going into this interview process is your listening skill. Always listen. Let them talk. Don't get into loving to hear your own voice. Do not interrupt. Assume nothing. Always ask. Don't be afraid to say you don't understand. Prepare your questions ahead of time and ask the least threatening questions first. Okay? So, dress nicely. Don't wear anything that you wouldn't wear to church or to a job interview. Look professional and also act professional. Try to have a conversation when possible. And as you proceed with the assignment that you've been asked to do on interviewing, please feel free at any time to ask or call me or email me to ask me if you have any additional questions. Enjoy the assignment.